We've all had experiences that are unexpected. I was thinking about an unexpected experience that I had not too long ago as I went soul winning with Brother Brian Miller. Some of you are laughing because you already know the story. Brother Brian Miller is a member of our church. He's a sergeant on the Cleveland Police Force. A couple of Monday nights ago, we gathered here at the church and we got our calls, and he and I got in my car. I normally go with Brother Adrian Vance, but Brother Adrian wasn't able to go that night, and so Brother Brian needed a partner and I needed a partner. We teamed up. We got in my car and we began to make our way into the inner city to make some calls on some folks who had been contacted by our church who were expecting to receive a gift. Went to the door, knocked on, had a very friendly conversation. On our way back to the door, from the door, going back to the car, you got to know Brother Brian Miller. He doesn't let anybody slip through his hands. I mean, it's like red meat to a dog when Brian sees a person on the street that doesn't have a Bible in their hand or doesn't have a tract from our church. It's like red meat to a dog. Where are you, Brian? There he is. So we're on our way back, and here's this young man coming down the street, and you got to understand, we're in the inner city. And Brian sees this guy, and he looks at this as an opportunity to share Christ. He pulls the guy aside, begins to witness him. This guy's somewhat distracted. You can tell when somebody's not really paying attention. This guy really was not into listening too much of what Brian said. And he saw an opportunity. He says, "Oh, I see my ride down the street." So he pulls away from us. We get back in the car, and we're starting down the street. And now we see him talking to this woman. We just assumed that he knew this woman. And so we pulled up, and again, I'm telling you, Brian, he never lets anything get by him. And so we're pulling up past where this conversation, he said, "Slow down." And he rolled down the window, and he reached out, and he said, "Hey, look, we were just talking to this young man." He's speaking to this woman now that this young man's speaking to. He said, "We're just speaking to this young man about Christ." And about that time, that young man reached out, and he took a hold of a bottle of narcotics that this woman had on her person. And he took a hold of it and began to run. Brian looked at me and he said, "Let's go." My eyes got about as big as saucers. I mean, "What do you mean, let's go?" He said, "Let's go get him." This guy's running on foot. Here I am chasing him in my car. He takes a right turn down a very narrow street, and then he starts running up an alley, and my car's right behind him. Brian says, "Stop." And I stop the car, and out he jumps, and now he starts running after this guy. This guy's trying to go up on a fence. He realizes he's not going to make it. And then he takes off a little bit further, so I'm thinking, what do I do? I mean, we're not Starsky and Hutch here, you know. So I pull up there, and here's Brian on top of this guy. I said, "Brian, what do you want me to do?" He said, "Call 911. I'm just telling you, unexpected things happen. Hey, somebody says living a Christian life is a dull thing. Not around here, it's not.